Project 95, October 7th, 1995. Spokane Opera House, Spokane, Washington. I'm getting right down to business because it's gonna rain, I feel like, and I don't want to get caught out here in the rain. In a perfect world, your first move is to look at the post for each show, which has photos, it has my show notes from my notebook, it has the tape cases, just general picture, like just miscellaneous stuff. And usually in the description, I'll kind of outline some things. I have very nice copies of this show because it was, as I said in the caption, one of the best shows of the tour, bar none. Oops. Bar none. Why is it doing that? And you can put New Year's, you can put Halloween in there. This show was special. It was their second peak, right? I mentioned Shoreline was a peak. Like they kind of got their footing, and then they came out and kicked you in the nuts. And then this was just another level up, from so many different metrics. The set list, the room. I talked a lot about the Orpheum in Vancouver. This was a much more modern theater. So it was way more sleek looking. You can see it in the background of that picture of Spencer with the guitar. It kind of had this sloped roof. I remember it had this big like spiral staircase that kind of went up to the upper balconies. But it was way more modern. It didn't feel like, and I've never been in an opera house before or since, so I don't know. But the acoustics were great. The acoustics were next level, and some of the choices they made were as a result of that, obviously. So the set list, the room, the playing, the vibes, just everything started to click, and so many firsts for the tour, right? First gumbo, first mound, first mango, first makasupa, first contact, first Frankenstein, first fire, Hendrix style. Probably because they're in Washington State, maybe. I buried the lead. Trey got a haircut. Up until this show, it was like hippie Trey. If you've seen any footage from pre 10/7/95, especially like 94, he just had that mushroom that just, and it was, he had a mushroom helmet, basically, a red mushroom helmet, but it was always super lilty, and he's got a fan on. It looked as though it was moving in slow motion, independent of him a lot of the time. That iconic, just shaggy Trey was no more. This was not a shaved head, but I mean, it was, I I wrote Trey hairless, so it was considerably. And if you want to go to YouTube and just look up any 95s within a couple weeks of here, you'll see what I'm talking about. I'm trying to think if there's any on there. Anyway, Trey's hairless. So we're starting the move back east, right? Spokane's about a 4-hour drive from Seattle. And they dropped this show. And if you couldn't tell from my notes that I was excited, you're not paying attention. The exclamation points are coming out, and with abandon, like seemingly without any logic. So I got a 1-point gumbo, I got a 2-point mound, I got a 3-point possum, I got a 4-point mango. So you're talking mid first set possum. And here's something about possum. Give me in a duel to the death, you got to pick one Phish song from its peak. Like, possums now can't touch possums from the mid 90s. A 94 possum, just fuck you. Like, I'll take a mid 90s possum over any song from any version of any song from any other era of Phish. I'll take my chances with the mid 90s possum. Now, I think that I like the 94s better than the 95s, but the 95s still had, I mean, they're all ragers. And this one's no exception. Mid first set too, between the first mound of the tour and the first mango of the tour. These are no slouches either. These firsts, you could get a first like something that no one cares about. Like, you could get a first sparkle and everyone would be like, who cares? First gumbo mound, mango, makisupa, contact. Like, these are bangers. And they're just, just diming them. Every song gets better than the last. It just had this energy, and maybe again, infant stages of the point system. I go 1, 2, 3, 4 to note this escalation, right? And the possum, this is the first possum since opening night in Sacramento. So even that was like, oh, where has this been, right? So there was this energy in this room that was just different than other nights so far. And it was almost like they got in a rut a little bit with the songs I mentioned yesterday, right? The 95 songs. Even though they did Fog That Surrounds, and they did some 95 songs, but they're like, oh wait, we have all these other albums and songs that aren't on albums that we can play. Why don't we do that more? And great additions to the mix, obviously. And I'm starting to get generous with the exclamation points, and like I said, I'm getting a little more expressive. Again, starting to find my voice in the notes. I'm I'm listening to I have the possum on right now. I was about to go into mango, so I want to see if this what happened during this mango. If I was uh, just swept away by the momentum of the set, or if it's like crazy. I have to imagine it's just I was taken by the moment, as it were, um, and just this. I'll never forget this night because of all those things came together. Um, had a great week in Seattle. I get to go to another show, right? This is the next show. Um, and they seem to feel the same way. Hey, we get to play tonight. Let's go, let's go fuck them up. Um, so here's the mango. And that's what everyone in the room knew what I knew, that this was the first mango and this was the first da. So really, really good stuff. Oh, I forgot. Oh my God, I forgot about the mac. The Macasupa might be the best Macasupa I've ever heard. It's Trey starts doing so. The second set, they really started to sort of embrace this room. The Macasupa, a lot of stuff, they get real quiet. There's everybody who pays attention to the band knows that as much as they rage, as much as they can shred and just go insane, their restraint when it's necessary for certain songs and certain jams it's otherworldly. Just knowing when you don't need to be super loud, you don't need to be super fast, right? The best music is sometimes like is measured, or is pulled back. The Macasupa has how did I forget? I'm so psyched I just remembered this. Trey does these little that that little reggae lilt, and Trey starts playing as a boom 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 boom. Boom boom boom, shmoom boom boom, shmoom boom boom, shmoom boom boom. I absolutely love it. Yes. And it just set the tone for this second set, and like I said in the caption, it's a top 5 Harry Hood of all time. I don't know how many times they played that song. It is a top 5 Hood for reasons I will note in a moment. Jazz Jam. I'm almost there. If you look, I have planes, trains, cars. Parentheses, Jazz Jam, question mark. So I'm still obviously not sure. I got it wrong. I got one of the vehicles correct. Cars. Planes, trains, cars, I wrote. So still don't quite know, but there's rumors going around of what that song's called. But I'm sticking with Jazz Jam. If you planes, trains, cars. Nice work. So if you had a 10-7 in the Jazz Jam pool, sorry, you lose. Josh, my brother Josh, he took Fort Worth 1013. So keep we'll keep an eye on it. Every song in this set just has a different vibe to it because of this room. And like I said, all those factors that I mentioned coming together, right? The room, the vibes, the play, Trey's haircut, like, like whatever it was, like starting to move back east, like having however many shows under their belt. This second peak. They leveled up here for sure. And the split indicates it, and then all the new songs for the tour, the firsts, totally part of that. The Hood is like no other in that this place sounded so good. In the jam part of Hood, they're just sort of melting it down. You know how they do that. At one point, they are playing unamplified, and I remember I was sitting. You couldn't really get around the sides. It was kind of, like, it was a theater like that. Like if you were all the way to the right, Fishman was still kind of in front of you. I remember being over on that side, and it gets super quiet. They're still playing, not air playing, which was hot in the 90s, in 95. Sometimes they do the air thing. They're playing, and their amps, I don't know music enough to be right in what I'm saying, but you were hearing the string plucks. And Phish had brushes, and I don't think Page was playing. I'm just going off memory. I haven't listened to it yet, re-listened to it. But the power of that music in that room, when it was making virtually no noise, it was so quiet in there, but so clear. You could hear it clear as day that they were still playing this Hood jam unamplified, and they did it for a little bit, and I feel it just, this shared experience of everybody in that room was like, oh wow, this is different. And I've had a lot of this is different moments with this band over the years, and this was one of them. Like, I remember getting like emotional, like that's how intimate this moment in this awesome song was. I remember tearing up and getting emotional, and really like, like my whole Chicago thing. I was coming into Chicago, and I'm like, oh my God, like just the magnitude of all this. It really, it took me for a minute. And I was happy to be taken. I don't know what any of that means. I just heard the mango. It's a regular mango, but you understand. I was excited, and I had every right to be excited. I'm switching my. You know what's cool about this tape deck? It came with a little like golf pencil, right? Because if you had to wind it manually, I gotta rewind it. see if I'll probably be done by the time it gets there. So yeah, I wrote Trey unplugged. I don't know what was happening, but I knew what I just described. I don't know if he was unplugged or if he was just turned all the way down. Mike, question mark, and Harry was unfinished. Another unfinished. So no, you can feel good about Hood. And Tweezer unfinished last night. And Reba unfinished, no whistling. I guess that's not unfinished anymore. And Contact is just an all-time favorite. But and then they kind of continue with that, with the No Mics Adeline, right? This room was built for, obviously, it's an opera house. It's built for singers and to be heard, and then fire. But this show comes down to all those firsts, all those tour firsts, and like I said, it's a top 5 Hood of all time. So listen to that if nothing else in all of this. Tomorrow night, Missoula, Montana, at Adams Fieldhouse. I'll see you in Big Sky Country, as the folks in Montana probably don't call it that.